Welcome, Robbie Bruce, Alexis Kachkov. We are here today to talk about the big changes we anticipate in the live events industry. A short, concise perspective just to trigger the discussion in the industry. Topic of today, a very important one, top of mind for customers, AV over IP. Okay. Some people love it, some people are skeptical. I know that the two of you are big believers. So let's start from the beginning. Why is that? Robbie, what are the real benefits that make you believe AV over IP will transform the live events industry?
It's pretty easy. There's three main reasons. The first is a unified connector. That's today we have HDMI, DisplayPort, and SDI. It actually adds cost and complexity for people who have to invest in all the various signal types. Going forward, it's all Ethernet-based connectors. As it relates to cable clutter, today you have to, HDMI only has a 10-foot run at most, and to extend that you end up having to put fiber extenders and more devices in the middle of the link that actually creates more points of failure and additional cost and complexity.
Okay.
And then finally, just cost in terms of ports. If you look at a matrix router, it's about $250 a port. With Ethernet-based routers at 1 gigabit, it's $5. It's around $20 a port for a 10 gig, and it's getting cheaper every day.
So I hear ease of setup, I hear cost, scalability. What about reliability? Because it's key for the live events industry. And at the same time, when people think about networking, they see the risks, see network congestion. How do you look at reliability?
Well, the great part is there's a protocol out there today for broadcast called SMPTE 2110. And in that protocol, they define how the behavior for redundancy should be. And so most of the systems have redundancy built into it in a standard way that all the devices in that network will behave the same way. And if a cable goes down, it knows how to go to the second cable.
That's great. And by the way, I know from a fact that our colleagues at the healthcare division, they use AV over IP in surgery rooms using very reliable networks. So I don't think it should be a concern for the industry. So thanks for sharing, Robbie. For projection, Alexis, do you see the same benefits of AV over IP? Do you see similar dynamics?
Yeah, very similar actually. Today, projectors are far away from the image processing. It's in a truss, it's in a table, elevator, whatever. So in these cases, they run typically 2 cables or even 3 one for a spare cable. So yeah, count the long distance, that comes very costly, plus the work to make sure that the cables are in place is also not to underestimate.
So again, simplification cost. I need to ask the obvious question because I understand the potential, I see the benefits you're talking about, and at the same time, you know, there are a lot of AV over IP solutions already on the market. Think about NDI, think about SDVoE, think about SMPTE 2110, as you were already pointing out. But you cannot say that today the live events industry has fully embraced video over IP. So why is that?
I think today there's a lot of protocols that are available and solutions that are available, but they all have a little bit of limitation to it. Some are 1 gig at 18:1 compression, but maybe have an impact on quality. There's a 10 gig, but you're forced into 10 gig and you're paying more per port or per connection for maybe streams that you don't really care about, like a multi-viewer or a downstage monitor that doesn't need that reliability nor the cost. So I think today that's the primary reasons, and plus they're not interoperable between them. So usually vendor A and vendor B, even using the same technology, it may not work together.
Okay, so obviously that's important. Interoperability is key in the live production environment. Also the fact I hear a lot of options that you need to make, too many options perhaps. Does that mean is there something in the pipeline that will solve this for AV over IP?
Oh, absolutely. So one of the main problems I didn't mention earlier, but HDMI supporting HDMI is very important to live events. And the reason that is because a lot of the content is HDCP, is protected content. We also have irregular shaped screens. They're not 16:9 aspect ratios. So those are important parts of HDMI's protocol. There is SMPTE 2110 that's in broadcast. That's mostly SDI over Ethernet, and that's usually 16:9 formats and no custom EDIDs, and it doesn't support HDCP. So that's the primary reasons for it.
Okay, so I hear IPMX. I see the potential. You talk about interoperability, so I have to ask Alexis, Do you also see that that potential of IPMX and in the world of projection?
Yeah, it was the exact same reasons for projection companies to not go into any solution that is available today. Having IPMX, it's an open standard, so yeah, it is really great to see that finally there is something that everybody will adopt. And it's also good to hear for customers that have UDX UDM and have already the fiber card. We will, if the protocol is available and we can then upload it, there will be a license that will enable IPMX already on the Barco projectors, probably in the course of next year.
Okay, so it's coming more and more, and IPMX will only accelerate it.
Yeah, the one thing I forgot to mention is, so with the other protocols, you're tied into a very specific, and IPMX is not specific to 1 gig, 10 gig, 25, or even 400 gig. You can pile multiple signals into one big cable, or you can go all the way down to 1 gig copper.
Okay, so again, to drive that utilization of your product.
Yeah, interoperability,
Yeah.
and let the user decide how much compression versus bandwidth.
Okay.
So if I want less network, then I need more compression, and then and you get to make those trade-offs.
That's great, and I want to move to another topic because I know it lives in the industry, and it's the people aspect of it. Because today we have a whole industry of AV people that have grown up with AV knowledge that suddenly will have to work with IT products, which is very different. What's your perspective on how to help the industry to make that transition happen?
Well, for image processing in our next generation, we'll all have AV over IP enabled in it. And to make that jump, if you would, we're bringing IT type vocabulary and workflows to where it's familiar to our AV users and our operators. So today they can use our existing user interfaces they would set up their baseband HDMI connectors. We would use the same workflow for AV over IP type workflows.
And could you do the same for projection?
Yeah, this is going to be key, of course, of the success of AV over IP, making sure that our AV industry crowd or crew, let's say, they know how to work with this, and they don't have to be an IT specialist to do it. So we'll make that very accessible for everybody and make sure it feels the same like it is today. But I expect, from what I see, the capabilities will make it even better.
Very clear. Thank you, Alexis. Thank you, Robbie, for sharing a snapshot on AV over IP. In 2 weeks, we'll talk again, and then the topic will be horsepower, performance of the products, resolutions and the likes. Thank you very much. Thanks for watching. Obviously, there's much more to dive into about AV over IP. We'll be sharing much more information over the next months. And if you want to be kept posted on our next video around horsepower and performance, leave your contact details below this video. Thank you very much.